First off, I'm using a gimbal to make this video, so I hope everything goes smoothly. But I am having a panic attack right now. My chest feels tight, I'm a little dizzy. That wooziness in the head feeling. I'm breathing kind of like heavy, like that chest tightness. And I apologize for closing my eyes. I have like a little bit of a headache. And I was sleepy, but here's the thing. Sometimes when you have anxiety, you have panic attacks. Sometimes you feel sleepy and you can't sleep. And there's times that you want to sleep, you can't, even no matter how tired you are. And there's times that you don't want to sleep, but yet you can sleep. I know it doesn't make sense, but that's how I've been lately. You know, right now I'm having shortness of breath. Can't keep my eyes open. I know I'm not gonna be able to sleep into 2 or 3 hours from now. And if I do fall asleep, right now it's like 9:05 in the evening on this Sunday evening. I know if I fall asleep, I will wake up in 2 3 hours. And it'll take me another hour, 2 3 hours to fall asleep, and I have work tomorrow, Monday, and I have to wake up at 7 a.m. My sleeping, haven't been getting much sleep as well. My anxiety been really high. Been having up to 7 8 panic attacks a day. But some days are easier, some days are not. And I've been having a lot, and I've been thinking a lot too. And when you have anxiety, you think a lot. Even when you don't want to think, you still think. And sometimes I can just be sitting on my bed out of nowhere. I'm not thinking. I'm just watching TV. I'm watching something on YouTube, not anything related to panic attacks or anything like that. And yet, and I was still fall asleep. I will still think. I'll think about anxiety, and it's not anything that I'm watching that's anxiety related. I can be watching sports, like football. When I say football, I'm talking about football. Like the NFL, not soccer. I don't understand soccer. I don't really watch soccer. I only watch football, basketball, and sometimes baseball, and hockey sometimes. But my biggest thing is football. And I am a 49ers fan. I've been a 49ers fan since the late 80s. And here's the strange thing. I remember back in 2016, when I started experiencing my first panic attack. I remember watching a game. I think it was a preseason game, maybe in the early start of the season. I remember one day I was watching the game on TV. This is when I was experiencing panic attacks already, and I was already housebound. I remember watching the game, and I don't know what triggered my mind into. I think it was too much commotion going on in the football, watching football. Sometimes fights goes on, and then I think my mind's like, oh my God, they're fighting, and that's dangerous. And then I was like, oh my God, I can't watch football. My mind picked up that as dangerous, and then when I kept watching it, I was like, oh my god, I'm just freaking out watching football, something that I've been watching for years and years, turning into a turn into a trigger. Other than that, sometimes when I dream, it could be a good dream. I wake up, I'm like, oh my god, I freak out, and I don't know why. I'm like, it was a good dream, nothing scary, nothing bad. Why am I having a panic attack? And then sometimes, when we have anxiety, sometimes we just want to go to sleep and not feel anything. And then sometimes we go to sleep, we're like, okay, then we dream about having a panic attack, and then we're like, oh my god, now it's affecting us in our dreams. That's another thing that's kind of worrisome. And, my panic attack came back in early July 2023. The thing with July for me is strange. I remembered my first July with panic attack in 2016. I had 2 or 3 days without panic attacks, and I was able to leave my house. I'm like, it just left my mind. The anxiety, the panic attacks, nothing related to anxiety came to my mind. So I left my house, and and I told my parents, oh, I'm going to go ride the bike around my bicycle, and they're like, okay. And then the next day I did it again, like for the 2 or 3 days straight. And then when I woke up on the 3rd day or 4th day, bam, the panic attacks were back, even worse than before. And then July 2017, that's when I'm like, okay, I start thinking about the previous July, not January, the previous July from 2016. I'm like, okay, how's this July gonna be, right? And 2017 was like was kind of strange for me too. Like, I had panic attacks on and off. I was leaving my house, that's when I started doing my exposure therapy on and especially 2018. I'm like, okay, 2018 towards the end of 2017, my anxiety was getting better. 2018, most of it was gone. Then I was like, okay, I need to look for a job. I was leaving the house, I was driving again, stuff like that. I'm like, okay, finally got a job. And late 2018, I want to say towards November, late November, early December, that's when I started working again. I worked at that company of 2019 or 2020. So I was there for like 2.5 years. Also, by July 2021, I left that company, and then I got a job where I'm working on now, and I've been at this company since July of 2021. So almost 4 years there. It'll be 4 years in this July, second week of July. And then I'm like, now in my mind, I'm like, I'm actually looking for another job. I've been pretty stressed out at work. The other thing I didn't mention is, my mom had a brain hemorrhage back in October 25th, early in the morning, October 25th of 2024. A brain hemorrhage is like where your brain is bleeding, and she had it in the back of the brain, where the command, where the part of the brain where you can do speech, control your speech, your movement and stuff. And she been in a coma since. She had a breathing tube feeding tube. And just seeing my mom like that is giving me a lot of anxiety, a lot of PTSD. You know, because I lost my brother in 2015 because he had multiple strokes, and I think, you know, for me, you know, all this stuff that's happening is just giving me that anxiety. Because when I started having the panic attacks again in July 2024, I don't know what caused me to have it, but I just remember one morning around 5 a.m. on the Thursday morning, I woke up. I turned to one side. The whole room was spinning vertical. I was like, oh my god, that's the first time I had the spinning sensation in years. Right? Turned to this side. I wasn't spinning, but I felt like it was falling towards one side. I sat up like how I am now. I felt lightheaded, faint. I stood up. I felt faint. I sat on the ground in the corner, like, you know, flat surface, my back against something hard, and I'm like, okay, I feel better. But as soon as I got up and turned my head, lay down, turned my head towards one side, room started spinning. I was like, oh my god. So I was dizzy for most of the day that day, and I called out sick. Then the next morning, I woke up around the same time, same thing. I'm like, I told my manager said, you know, it's kind of slow today, you know, and we don't want you to come to work feeling dizzy. It's not safe for you to be driving if you've been dizzy all day on Friday. How will we know? I mean, on Thursday, how will we know you won't be dizzy all day on Thursday and Friday? So I came back to work Monday. I was still feeling it, and then, you know, she said, okay, if you still feel it, just come in the office, you know, sit in the back in the office that we don't really use, and just sit down for as long as you need to, you know. And I was feeling edgy that day. And since that day in July 2023, every few weeks I can feel my anxiety creeping up worse and worse. And like the dizziness was always in the back of my head. Every time I woke up, I'm like, I turn to that side. I'm like, don't get dizzy, don't get dizzy. You know, I'm like, oh my god. Especially that vertical room spinning sensation. That's the worst. Even when now I feel disoriented, I feel spaced out. Like everything is either too bright on one part of my vision, and then the other part is like it's dim and blurry. I'm like, oh my god, it's like my eyes see, one eye sees one vision, the other one's like messed up on the other vision, you know. And then the back of my head feels tight and tense. So when I turn like this, it gets cracking pops, and then the headache from the back of my head shoots to the front of my head and get that really bad pressure, like different spots. And sometimes I can feel that wishiness in my head, like my brain is like being squeezed. There's fluid dripping. I can hear my heart pounding in my head. Body tremors in my head, brain. It feels like my brain is just like moving. And I'm like, oh my god, stuff like that. You know, I've been getting sweaty. I wake up in the middle of the night with my heart pounding. My jaw feels tense, and I'm still like breathing so heavy, like I just ran for miles, and I didn't even do anything. I just be sitting down, laying down. I get the headache, like the top part of my head right here. It feels like, you know, someone take their fingertips, just like squeeze the head into me, and that's how I feel like. As far as my mom, you know, just seeing my mom like that. This is the first Halloween, first Thanksgiving, first Christmas, first New Year's, first Lunar New Year without my mom. And, you know, in about 2.5 weeks, it'll be my birthday. I'll be turning 45 years old. You know, first time I won't hear my mom's voice for my birthday. And even my dad been in and out of the ER. And I'll be honest, it worries me when I'm going to work and he's home alone. I mean, my daughter's here, but she works from home and she can't check on my dad all the time. I do have cameras in the kitchen, the family room, the living room, the backyard, the front yard, doorbell, and I'm going to install another one in the front yard where it kind of keeps tabs on like the garage and where it can flip the 360 just in case my dad is ever outside, and then I'll get one for my backyard that's facing the area where he likes to sit at. I know a lot of people thinks, oh my god, that's too much cameras, but it's more for me to keep an eye on my dad than for home intruders. I wanted to see if I can get him like a mid-sized dog, like a service dog. I don't want him to have a small dog. I want him to have like a mid-sized dog, not something small where he might accidentally walk and step on something. A dog that's a little bit bigger that can help him a little bit easier. That's been giving me a lot of anxiety, just seeing my dad sitting in the kitchen looking out the window. My mom's not there. It's giving me depression just seeing my dad like that. And I know my dad tells me, I'm getting old, one day I won't be here, but I don't want you to feel sad or anything because of that. And I'm like, I don't like when they talk like that, because it just makes me stressed out. I'm the youngest sibling. I have 3 older brothers, but my second oldest passed away in 2015 from the stroke. And in 2016, which is a year later, that's when I started having panic attacks. And I don't know, from that day, I don't know what brought on the panic attack. Or was something in my mind, or was the doctor that I saw back then, he said it could be a lot of emotion built in your mind that you don't know, but in the back of your head, it's just thinking too much without you knowing. And then something that you might have saw, something that triggered your mind, just busted, and you had a panic attack. That's what the doctor told me, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's true or not. But me making videos like this in my room, like how I used to do, is feels like I'm reliving those memories again. My room's a little different. We painted the room, have a bigger bed, move some stuff around. But the hardest thing is, not hearing my mom's voice. I have dreamed about my mom a couple of times, waking up from the coma, and waking up, talking, got up and asked what's going on, and the doctors quickly did another brain scan and checked the bleeding completely stopped and healed, no sign of brain hemorrhage, and they say your mom's heart, it's like it's 20 years younger again, and then my mom gained all the weight, she lost plus more, and she don't have high blood pressure or low blood pressure, and no signs of any problems. And she's able to walk even better than she, like she's 20 years younger, you know. And then when I woke up from that dream, I was happy, but and then I quickly looked and I was like, oh my gosh, it was just a dream. you know, but anyways, that's pretty much it. Even though my anxiety been back, having up to 8 panic attacks a day, I'm just glad that I'm able to still go to work, leave the house with or without panic attacks. But anyways, that's pretty much it for me.